It is good to see the brothers. Feeling well? Circulation? Alhamdulillah. We currently reading from the title Al-Manhaj, which is translated as the Istiqamah, Shaykh, in explaining or commenting on the foundations of the Ba'alawi path. And the author of this book is Zain. He is one of the most senior scholars from the Ba'alawi path, and he's a Shafi'i, one of the most senior, if not the seniors of all Shafi'i scholars in the world today. And he's still alive and resides in Medina. And he's a person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had granted him the great ni'mah of combining between both the sciences of Zahir and the Batin, the science of the esoteric, internal and external sciences of the Deen. And this meaning was something that was never absent in the Ummah in previous years, in the sense that scholars, it was known that the scholars understood the importance of the sciences of the art, and they received a fair share or a fair portion of that sciences, as much as they also endeavored to attain the sciences of the external, which is the science of ilm. And al-Zahir could be anything from the ilm. So ilm al-Zahir would be ilm al-Deen and ilm al-Dunya. It's the sciences of the Deen and the science of the Dunya. That would be your ilm al-Zahir. And your ilm al-Batin, the science of the heart, are generally referred to as the science of the Deen, the science of the Akhirah. So your science of the Zahir will be anything from your study of the usul, the principles of the Deen, foundations of the Deen, fiqh, hadith, tafsir, etc., all the way up until science of anatomy and medicine and astronomy, mathematics, physics, chemistry. All those sciences would be from ilm al-Zahir, because it studies the outer, whether it relates to the person, whether it relates to his surroundings, whether it relates to the universe at large. Whereas the science of the Batin studies the science of the inner qualities and the inner states of the person, and what the essence and objective is of that, and how to attain, how to nurture. In the same way, the science of medicine focuses on the well-being of the person's physical body. The science of spirituality focuses on the well-being of the person's inner self. In the same way, you have diseases of the physical body, you have diseases of the heart and of the ruh and of the nafs. And while the scholars have used at times the word interchangeably, the heart and the ruh and the nafs, and some have used it or a specific, they have used each one and they refer to specific meaning. We will use, for the sake of clarity to you, we will use the as a synonym both the ruh and the nafs, and the heart. And when we refer to the heart, obviously we don't mean just that that piece of organs, of flesh and fat, and that pumps the blood and that contracts and expands. But rather we refer to the latifat al-rabbaniyya التي أودعها الله, that subtle aspect of it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it محطة للتجليات الإلهية والأنوار الصمدانية والفتوحات الربانية. It is that specific place that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the focus of the descending of divine pourings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that specific organ that is the means of which is able to receive. It is like a transmitter that is able to receive the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and purify, and through it it transforms and it reforms through that small organ the entire body. إن في الجسد لمضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله. Despite its minuteness, despite its size and how minute it is, how small it is in size, if that thing is upright, then the consequence of that is everything that emanates from the larger human being, from the person, from whether it is his statements, whether they are his actions, whether they are his thoughts, everything, whether they are his feelings, everything that emanates from that person becomes sound. If that is sound. وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله, and that is corrupt, the entire heart, the entire body, including the person's actions and his speech and his thoughts and his beliefs, everything becomes corrupt. It is the very thing that if it is sound, the person is guaranteed success in the hereafter. ولا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. So we were saying that there was never a separation between the ilm al-zahir and the ilm al-batin. Someone has always understood and knew that as important as the ilm al-zahir is equally important or more important than the ilm al-batin, the science of the inner self. And قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. How is it that the person can focus his entire life on fixing his external and ensuring his well-being, and that the reason and consequence of this by temporary benefit and a temporary enjoyment, when in reality is that if he was to purify or he was to cleanse and he was to ensure that his inner self is one that is correct, one that is healthy, one that is nurtured, one that is well supplemented, one that is well looked after, one that is not undernourished, then the consequence of this is an eternal bliss, eternal happiness, eternal success, eternal satisfaction, eternal reward and bestowments and gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thereafter. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. And loser is the one who does not realize the importance of this. And alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for granting us to attach value to these different disciplines and the different sciences. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through them elevate our status and purify our hearts and allow us to be from those who He is pleased with. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Grant us through the proximity of our Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Our last reading in this book was the 4th chapter. The author speaks about benefits that a student of Deen and an alim needs, and he mentioned 12 things, of which I will very briefly mention for the sake of clarity and brevity. One is that he says that the knowledge has to be approached for that which it was intended for, which is to attain through it the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is knowledge intended for? Knowledge is intended primarily for to equip the person, if it is from the sciences of the dunya, to empower the person, to give him a better understanding of himself, a better understanding of his surroundings, and how to apply that knowledge to better himself and to ensure a better life for those who are around him. If it is the science of the akhirah, the ultimate goal of the science of the deen, the akhirah, is two things: to attain Allah, to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And through getting to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you attain the pleasure of Allah and the companionship of Rasulullah. That is, so knowledge was never intended for itself. Knowledge was never a goal. Knowledge has always been a vehicle and a medium and a method and a means upon which I am able to utilize it as a mount to attain the goal. And the goal has always been Allah. The goal has always been none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Likewise, the a'mal salihah, the good deeds. After attaining knowledge, the person is able to worship Allah, because he understands and he realizes how he should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So through the knowledge and through understanding and realizing how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's now able to practice. And we spoke in the month of Ramadan about the importance of knowledge with actions. Knowledge that is knowledge that is followed by actions. Knowledge that is followed by actions. We spoke about the importance of knowledge that is followed by action. And that there is no benefit in knowledge if the consequence that is not for you to practice what you have learned. That very action or practicing that knowledge in itself, again, has never been the objective, has never been the goal. It is, again, but a means for one to attain and acquire and reach the goal. And the goal is Allah. The goal is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَمَنْ وَجَدَ اللَّهَ وَجَدَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. He who finds Allah has found everything. I was now the other morning, I met Brother Yusuf in a restaurant in Pinelands. What's the name of the restaurant? Rumi. And then I saw there was a raqam. There was a raqam there. We call it a raqam. There was a frame, and they on it was written Man wajada Allah. I know that Man wajada Allah wajada kulla shay. Ma fatahu shay. Man wajada Allah ma fatahu shay. Whoever finds Allah has lost nothing. Whoever has found Allah, ma fatahu shay. What has he really lost in this dunya? If you've lost in everything else, but you found Allah, what have you lost? And if you found everything else in the dunya, but you lost Allah, what have you found? So the objective was always Allah, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثانيا أن يقصد العلم. Even the prophets themselves, they are conduits to connect creation to Allah. The prophets, they are conduits to connect people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore the sending of the prophets, it is not wajib. It is not necessary for Allah ta'ala to have sent prophets. Allah ta'ala was able to connect us to Him immediately without prophets. According to the Ahlul Sunnah, the madhab of the Ahlul Sunnah is that Irsal al-Rusul is not necessary, not wajib for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is possible for Allah ta'ala. Can Allah ta'ala choose not to send? Allah ta'ala has the right to send. Allah ta'ala has the right to not send prophets. Khilafan lil-Mu'tazila. But the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the prophets, and they came with a message, and the message was وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نوحا إلى قومه فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله وإلى عاد أخاهم هودا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله قد أرسلنا ولوطا قال قوم يا قوم اعبدوا الله. Everyone came ما لكم من إله غيره. Every single prophet he came to worship Allah, worship Allah. For you there is no other ilah other than Allah. Nabi Musa, Fir'aun, إني رسول رب العالمين, I'm a messenger from whom? From Allah. قال عيسى بن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم. I am Allah's messenger. So even the messengers themselves, they were mere conduits to connect us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that they are infallible creation, and through their message, through their life, they have never ever made a mistake. They've never ever committed a sin. They've never committed a sin. And whatever they preach is indeed what Allah ta'ala had revealed to them. And their tongue is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to speak. The Hawariyin, the disciples of Nabi Isa understood this, and Nabi Isa said, وإذ قال عيسى بن مريم الحواري من أنصاري إلى الله. The disciples, Nabi Isa told his disciples, who are those who are going to be my ansar, who's going to aid me towards Allah? قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله. So the disciples said, we are. They didn't say we are your disciples. He said we are the disciples of Allah. Because they never distinguished between the message that was sent by the prophets and that which Allah Ta'ala wanted them to believe and wanted them to follow. And because their tongue spoke on behalf of the Hadrat al-Ilahiyya, on behalf of the divine Allah, on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever they did and whatever they came with was on account of revelation from Allah. And if you follow them, you will guarantee that you will attain the satisfaction of Allah. And that was the objective. Because you knew through them, guaranteed through them, you will attain Allah. You will attain the satisfaction of Allah. So again, the knowledge, the end objective and the end goal of attaining knowledge is none other than ma'rifatullah, getting to know Allah. Getting to know Allah. And through getting to know Allah, getting close to Allah and attaining Allah's satisfaction. Allahumma rada anna, ya Rabbi. Allah be pleased with us. And then he also mentioned that the knowledge, a person should approach the sciences and should not go to another science until he's understood at least the very basics of that science, and he should not jump around from one to the other. He should approach the best of the best of books and use it in a very categorical form. He should approach a teacher, a Shaykh, Murshidun, Amin, Nasihun, a scholar, a teacher that is trustworthy in his deen, trustworthy in his ilm, someone that is able to advise him. He should not depend solely on his wittiness and his intellect to attain the science. That he should constantly revise, and he should practice, and he should carry forth what he has learned. وهكذا the author mentions the different fawaid, the different benefits of knowledge, as mentioned by Shaykh Zakaria al-Ansari, Shaykh al-Islam, in his book Al-Lu'lu' al-Nazim fi Rum al-Ta'lim wa al-Ta'lim. So we stop by the following page, فائدة. قال سيدنا الإمام أحمد بن زين الحبشي نفع الله به: ينبغي لمن أراد أن ينتفع بالعلم هو في نفسه فقط من غير نظر إلى كون هذا ينفع غيره أو لا ينفعه أن يؤثر من العلم ما هو أوقع أثرا في قلبه وأكثر ترغيقا له، وأن يقيده بالكتابة والتكرير أو نحو ذلك مما يزيده رسوخا، فإن ذلك أنفع له من كثير من العلوم التي لا يجد بها ما ذكر من التأثير والترقيق والخشوع. وهكذا يكون في جميع الأعمال والأحوال والأقوال وغير ذلك، يتحرى ما هو اللائق به وإن كان لا يليق ولا يناسب غيره. هذا في من أراد أن ينتفع هو في نفسه فقط. الإمام أحمد بن زين الحبشي says, a person who wants to attain knowledge, who wants to acquire knowledge, wants to study, he should look at those sciences that has the greatest impact in his heart. He should look at the sciences that has the greatest impact on his heart, and that causes him to be most, that affects him the most, that makes him the most subservient and humiliates him and causes something that he can see it has an effect on him when he studies it. And this is very different to the way people are studying these days. Today, the way people are studying these days and the way they are choosing their careers, it is based on, it's not based on how this will be good for me. It is based on what my friends are going to study, and it is based on, as we mentioned in the past, what is going to be what is the best paid jobs. It is going to be, it's based on what is the trend these days, and not based on what is best for me. Why this is important is because a science that may be beneficial for you may not be beneficial for others. A science that you might find attraction to, others might not find attraction to. A science that you may excel in, others may not excel in it. So he says it is all about you as a human. What is best for you? And therefore the scholars, mathalan, for example, in Salah, they discuss what is best if you're performing Salah. Is it best that you close your eyes, or is it best that your eyes are open and you are looking at the place of sujood? So they say al-afdal, the best is to look at the place of sujood, because that is ma'thurun an Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that is the sunnah. But they say that if it is that the person's khushu' is greater when his eyes are closed, then it's better for him to close his eyes and keep his eyes open. And some of them would use the hadith, the istidlal for this, they would use where the Prophet ﷺ was making salah on a mat. And then the Messenger ﷺ, when he completed his salah, he says, خُذْوَ هَذِهِ أَلْهَتْنِي عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. Take this mat away because the patterns on it distracted me from salah. Not that the Prophet ﷺ was ever distracted or disconnected from Allah, he was always connected. It is just to indicate to us that, and to teach us as the Ummah, that the objective behind Salah is to connect to Allah. And anything that could potentially minimize, not even break that connection, minimize that connection, it is something that is not best for you. For some people, it's best for them if their eyes are open. And for some people, they better concentrate when their eyes are closed. So Imam al-Ghazali and others mention that ما كان أوقع تأثيرا له, whatever is more impactful in his salah, and وأخشع لقلبه, and what causes his heart to be more sincere and subservient and humble in front of Allah and connected to Allah, that is best for him. If it is that his eyes are closed, they say that al-afdal that his eyes be open. But if it is going to compromise his relationship with Allah, and it's best for him to close his eyes, then his eyes is best for him to close his eyes when looking salah. So knowledge is, in that sense, in that regard, whatever is best for him, and whatever has a strong, some people they love tafsir, mathalan. And tafsir for them is, and I've heard it now maybe over this past 2 years now, that this is, they find so much love and passion in tafsir because they're able to understand the kalam of Allah Ta'ala. Others say, no, I love seerah because through seerah I'm able to appreciate the journey of Rasulullah, develop a strong love for him and follow him. And others say, no, I love tawheed. And others say, oh, I love fiqh. So different people have different appreciations. So what he says is that ما كان أوقع أثرا في قلبه وأكثر ترقيقا. What has a greater impact in his heart. And he says, if he finds the signs, he should document, he should repeat, he should read, and he should note. He should note it because it assists him to solidify that knowledge. And then he says, this is if he wants to benefit himself. He says, أما من أراد أن ينفع غيره بالعلم, as a person who wants to benefit others with his knowledge. This is just someone who's reading or studying for himself. But if you are studying to benefit others, you want to become a teacher, you want to become a scholar, فينبغي أن يكون كالطبيب الذي ينظر في الداء وسببه ومادته. He cannot only look at the signs, he must look at the disease, you look at the cause of the disease, you must look at the different remedies for the disease. Right? ويعطي المريض الدواء الذي يصلح لدائه. And then you should give the patient the medicine or the cure that is befitting for his disease. وربما جاءه ما كانت به العلة نفسها فيعطيه دواء آخر غير الذي أعطاه الأول لمعرفته أن السبب الموجب لعلته غير السبب الموجب لعلة الآخر. He says, it may be that you come to a doctor, I don't know if it's still the same these days, but you come to a doctor and the doctor tells you, he prescribes certain medication for you, and he says, you must take this, take it 3 times a day, and take this after every meal once a day, and stick to this and stay away from this and this and this and that, and inshallah you'll be better in 3 days or after 5 days, after your antibiotic is your cycle of antibiotic. He says another person may come to the doctor with the same disease or the same ailment, but the doctor prescribes him and gives him a different antibiotic, or gives him a different course of medication, and tells him you need to do this and you need to stay away from this, you need to stop working, or you need to go work, and his advices are different depending on the hal of the person, the state of the person. وهكذا, and he says likewise, العلوم, science are like that. يعطي كلا ما يصلح له منها ولا يقدر الناس ما يصلح له بمقياسه. He should give each person what is best for him and not what he thinks is best, what is best for him. ويكون هذا أيضا في حق من يريد تصنيف نحوه. He says likewise, for those who are into authoring and wish to author books, they should also see what is best for people and what is not best for them. فائدة. قال سيدنا الشيخ الإمام عبد الله بن علوي حداد رضي الله عنه: ينبغي للإنسان أن يتبحر في فن من العلوم حتى ينسب إليه ويعرف به. قال سيدنا علي كرم الله وجهه: من أكثر من شيء عرف به، ويتطرف في البقية في كل فن ويأخذ مجامعها وجملتها، حتى إذا سئل عن شيء فإذا هو معه فيه معرفة ولا يكون جاهلا. ولذلك صنف الإمام السيوطي النقايا وشرحها: وإذا حفظ علما حفظ جميع العلوم المتعلقة به، بحيث إذا واختصرت فيه، إذا اقتصدت واقتصرت فيه كنت فيها كذلك مختصرا ومختصرا. وخير لك أن تحسن 10 مسائل وتتقنها من أن تقرأ كتابا تاما لا تتقنه. انتهى كما قال. Al-Imam Haddad says it is important that a person should choose a science, at least one, and specialize in it and delve into it and go into the depth of that science until he is known by that science and people know that okay, this is his speciality. Sayyidina Ali says, Man akthara min shay'in urifa bi. A person who does something a lot will be known for that thing. A person who does something a lot will be known for that thing. And in the dunya it's like that as well. Up until really recent, in our city, the people, on account of the something that they used to do a lot, or that they used to say a lot, or maybe also not even so a lot, then they would be known. They used to call them nicknames. Right? So, for example, maybe a person used to trade in greens. So he used to maybe know Amidol Groente, right? Because he used to sell greens, right? So because of the person's constant engagement, he became known by it. Likewise in the sciences and the disciplines of Sharia, person who's constantly, if he has a passion for it, he will always speak about it. He will always mention a mas'ala, we'll speak about the Tawheed, we'll speak about the fiqh mas'ala, we'll speak about the matter in tafsir, we'll speak about a story in tasawwuf, we'll speak about incidents from the Prophet ﷺ. And the more he finds an interest in that subject, people will start picking up, oh, that this person, he loves seerah, or this person he loves fiqh, or this person loves tafsir, because of his constant passion about speaking about the science and the scholars and the icons of that science. Every science has icons. Every science has masters within that science. So he mentions those masters and he mentions the science's indication. Person maybe love qira'ah, and I was always speaking about qira'ah. Speaking about this, he speaks about this scholar and about that scholar and about this qira'ah and that qira'ah. Another person, he loves maybe the different modes of reading, and he's always posting different qira'ah, Pasha's pieces, and posting this person Pasha and that person, and posting this mode of reading and that mode of reading, because his passion is there. So he becomes known for it. He becomes known that this is a man of qira'ah, or this is a man of maqamat, or this is a man of hadith, or this is a man of tafsir. So he says, and then over and above specializing in a specific science, a person should also know at least the majami', the overall discussions of the different subjects. And then he mentions a book by Imam Suyuti that he authored, which contained 14 different sciences. The book is titled An-Naqaya, and he had also a commentary on this, which is known as Itmam al-Diraya li-Qurra'i al-Naqaya, that he discusses 14 different sciences, from usul al-Din and fiqh and hadith and tafsir and the science of nahu and sarf and rhetoric and the different sciences of rhetoric, of ilm al-ma'an and bayan badi', and he Apple discusses ilm al-tib, science of medicine, ilm al-tashriq, the science of anatomy. 14 different sciences he mentions in that book, and he gives the definition of it, and he gives the overall view of that subject and what it discusses, what's intended and what's the objective behind that science. وقال نفع الله به علم الأصول علمان. Imam al-Haddad also said, the science of usul, of Prince foundations, are two. علم أصول الدين كالعقائد. He says the science, the principles of deen, belief, ولا بد أن يأخذ الإنسان منه قدر الحاجة. A person must have at least the qadr of haja, that necessity that will be able to save you in this dunya from any pitfalls, and that which you will need to know in order to be successful in the hereafter. كعقيدة الإمام الغزالي, must at least know something like the Aqidah of Imam al-Ghazali. وعلم أصول الفقه, and the second science, علم الأصول, the science of foundations, is the أصول الفقه, foundations of jurisprudence. وهو عسر لا يكاد يفهم, وهو عسر لا يكاد يفهم. This is not an easy science, it's not easy to understand. ولا يجب على كل أحد, and it's not necessary for everyone to study the science. It is not فرض عين for the person. فينبغي أن يأخذ من الأصلين قدر الضرورة. He should take from the two sciences, he should take just that which he needs. Meaning Imam al-Haddad is saying that he should not delve too deep into the science of Tawheed, rather just that which suffices him. The Sada al-Ba'alawi, they would when they would go into the science of Tawheed, most of them would go up until the Jawhara and the commentary of al-Jawhara, Imam al-Laqani, and the commentary by Imam al-Bajuri. They would generally most of them would go up until that level. You would find some that would go beyond that in the Aqidah Nasafiyya, for example, of Imam al-Taftazani, and some maybe would go into the Mawaqif of Iji and the commentary of Jurjani. And you would find at times in some of the works of Imam al-Razi, but generally, in most cases, you would find that they would go to the Jawhar and the commentary of al-Jawhar. And that al-Jawhar al-Tawheed, which is the pearl of belief, the pearl of oneness, the pearl of monotheism, that is sufficient it is sufficient as Tawheed and as belief, and Shaykh Yusuf can rectify me too, for a person to know that knowledge which relates to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah ta'ala's sifat, and that which relates to prophets and the prophets, and that which is necessary for them, and that which is possible for them, and that which is inconceivable for them, and that which relates to the hereafter and the unseen. That book is kafi for a person if he was to study that and he was to know it well. إلا لمن أراد أن يتخصص, unless obviously the person he wants to specialize. If the person wants to specialize, then he needs to go into further things. But for, I say an intermediate, not even a beginner, for an intermediate level, Jawharat al-Tawheed, kafi wafi. ثم يأخذ في كتب الرقائق التي ترقق قلبه وترغبه في الآخرة وتزهده في الدنيا. And he says then you should take out you should read the sciences of that which, of the subtleties of the heart, which would soften his heart and would grant him, would cause him to yearn for the Akhirah, and would bring some sort of denouncement of the dunya. ثم ليأخذ في العبادة فيجتهد. This is Imam al-Haddad's advices. And then he should, then after that, engage in ibadah. And he should exert himself in ibadah. And he should, وَيُكْثِرْ مِنْ تِلَاوَةِ الْقُرْآنِ جَهْدَهُ. He should recite Qur'an as much as possible. And this is a very, very important piece of advice. Al-Imam al-Haddad, he says, a part of your ibadah, even though reading Qur'an is ibadah, he specifies the reading of the Qur'an as if it needs to have a special shape in your life. A person cannot be a believer and call himself someone who loves Allah and who loves Rasulullah if he does not love the Qur'an, and does not love to read the Qur'an, and does not want to open the Qur'an. لا يكون Sumait who said this is that a person can only call himself a murid if he finds in the book of Allah kullu ma yurid. If he finds in the book of Allah, the Quran, everything that he wants. That could be Imam al-Haddad. He says that a murid can only call himself a murid if he finds in the book of Allah kullu ma yurid. If he finds in Allah's book everything that he wants. ولو طهرت الإمام سيدنا عثمان بن عفان said لو طهرت قلوبنا ما شبعت من كلام ربنا. If our heart was to be pure, it would not suffice, it would not find satiation, it would not find contentment in enough reading. It would just want to read and read and read the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to engage in the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the reading of the Quran, it is extremely important. And if a person wants barakah in his time, if you want barakah in time, especially in these days, we're all complaining and we're saying we all have the same concern. Times, there's so little time, there's so much things to do. One of the ulama used to say that this is tried and tested. He says that the more I read Quran, the more barakah Allah put in my time. And when I decreased my portion of the Quran, that is how my barakah was decreased in my time, and I was unable to do what I wanted to do. But when I increased my reading, then I was able to do more things that I wanted to do in my day. So the reading of the Quran is ألا إنه البحر المحيط وغيره من الكتب أنهار تمد من البحر تدبره ورتله خاشعا تفوز من الأسرار بالكنز والظفر. Imam al-Haddad says that the Quran is like the all-encompassing ocean. وغيره من الكتب أنهار تمد من البحر. All other books, whether it is Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Muslim, Ihya al-Ulum, all the different sciences, all the different books of deen, أنهار تمد من البحر. It is all rivers that receives its sustenance from the main ocean, which is the Quran. Everything, all sciences come from the Quran. So he says, تدبر معاني ورتله خاشعا. Ponder about his meanings and read it with sincerity. تفوز من الأسرار بالكنز والظفر. You will be successful and you will gain the secrets of the Quran. You will gain the treasures of the Quran. Al-Quran, ya ibadallah. The Quran, the greatest mu'jiza of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فإذا لم يمكنه في بعض الأوقات أكثر من الذكر ويلازمه في كل أحواله. It says if he cannot read Quran all the time and is only able to read it at certain times, then the other times he should engage in dhikr. The other times he should engage in dhikr. And he should make dhikr a constant practice in all his ahwal, all his states. He says, فَإِنَّ الْعُمْرَ قَصِيرٌ وَالْبَطَالَةُ ذَاهِبَةٌ بِأَكْدَرِهِ. He says, life is so short. And stagnation has caused that most of our life just went a waste. Stagnation. What is stagnation? You know, and Haddad speak about stagnation. A person at the age of 12 making 200 rak'ahs in Masjid Ba'alawi. Every day after coming back from school. Every day, how long does it take you to make 2 rak'ahs? Pray what? 2 minutes? Say 2 minutes, 2 rak'ahs, so 1 minute a rak'ah. So 60 rak'ahs should be 60 minutes. 2 hours, 120 rak'ahs. 3 hours, 180 rak'ahs. So close to 3.5 hours almost. Every day, age of 12, 13, 14 years old. On his way back home, stops in Masjid Ba'alawi, makes 200 rak'ahs. Every day. And he speaks of batala. He speaks of batala. Remember, Sayyid al-Haib mentioned the story of Imam al-Haddad. He came home and he told his mom he wants qahwa. And qahwa is coffee, and coffee generally would be used as a means to increase in ibadah. Increase in ibadah. So he tells his sister, "Hey, al-qahwa." He tells her, "Where's the coffee? Where's the coffee?" And sister looks at him again. Ya Abdullah, al-qahwa. You worried about coffee? Anta abdul qahwa. Are you the slave of coffee? You bothered about coffee. Are you a slave of coffee? Slave of Allah. Anta abdul qahwa am Abdullah. And the objective is his sister, not even his mother. His older sister. And the objective behind this is to make him realize, to detach his heart from everything at this young age, to detach his heart from anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here he speaks about batala. He speaks about stagnation. What do we speak? How do we speak to our own selves? How do we reproach our own selves in this day and age? Where 1/3 of our day goes on spending on our phones, checking people's statuses, what people are posting, what the latest trends are, what the latest news in the world, politics, this, that. And when we're done with our phone, we put down our phone, and the TV goes on, and we see what is the latest movies, and what is the latest series, and what is this, and what is on YouTube. And when we put down our TV, and then we pick up the remote control, and then it's Xbox, and then it's PlayStation, and this, and that. And then eventually, خلاص صفى لنا الحال. Our state now becomes pure. وراق لنا البال, and our mind becomes now cleared. And we put down our phone and pick up the book of Allah and we open the Quran. We see messages ready. وإلى مدين أخاهم شعيبا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. So that little time that we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even that time, it's still tainted with the taint of stagnation and insincerity and distractions. So what are we to tell ourselves? Imam al-Haddad is saying, "Al-umru qasir, wal-batalatu dhahibatun bi-aktharihi." What is our state of stagnation? What is our state of Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our states. Allah grant His barakah in our time. Ya Arhamar Rahimin. وليجعل غاية اعتنائه ومطالعته في المهم منها فيطالع المهم ويحفظ المهم وإن أراد مطالعة غير ذلك جعله في نادر الأوقات. He should focus his time to read that which is the most important of science, and he should memorize the most important of science. And if he wants to read other stuff other than that which is more important, meaning that which is less important, he should make it ghalib, nadir al-awqat. Most of the time, use it for most beneficial, most important science priorities, and less priorities, now and then, طبعا the skills of Allah Ta'ala to establish the mizan within our life. May we establish that balance and that scale and that equilibrium within our life, because our life will only come right if we establish the balance. Our life will only come right if we establish the balance. And if we establish لا تطغوا في الميزان, if we interfere with Allah Ta'ala's balance that He set in this dunya, then the consequence of that is jara'im, crimes, domestic issues and marital issues and emotional stress and discontentment and anxiety and then we're going to need a social worker, and we're going to need a psychologist, and then we need a psychiatrist, and we need all this different items. I know what different, but if we establish priorities as Allah Ta'ala established it, then you need nothing other than Allah. Nothing other than Allah. You find you have an issue, you pick up the Quran, and He says you find the answer that you want. And if you don't find it, you pick up your salah, and the answer is within your salah. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا حزبه أمر قام إلى الصلاة أو هرع إلى الصلاة. When something would bother Rasulullah, the first thing picks up his enters into salah.
Yeah.
What is on the rating of 1 to 10? On the rating of 1 to 10, 1 being the first thing we go to, and 10 being the last. What is the chance that we first go to Salah or Quran? What is our first point of call? What is our first point of call? I have a problem. What's my first point of call? My wife? My friend? My banker? My doctor? My practitioner? My this? My that? My wife couldn't give me the right advice. My friends couldn't help me. My doctor was of no benefit to me. My this didn't work. My manager, banker couldn't sort out. 8, 7, 8, 9. I think I must return to Allah. I think I must make salah. I think I need to make dua to Allah Ta'ala. So if that is my approach, that is my list of priorities, and that's where Allah Ta'ala will place me on His list. Yeah. That's where I will be on Allah's list. أنا عند ظن عبدي بي. Wherever you place Allah, that's where Allah will place you. So Allah is first on your list. Anything, Ya Allah. Anything, Ya Allah. First thing, Allah. And you are first on Allah's list. So the time when you decide to call unto Allah, if you're calling unto Allah as the first point of reference, then swiftly you will receive Labbaika Ya Abdi. Oh my slave, I'm here to respond. And if you're calling at Allah after your 9th attempt or your 5th attempt, then don't expect to get a response immediately. You've exhausted so many other avenues. Allah Ta'ala yakiluka ilayhim. Allah Ta'ala will allow you to. Okay, they take care of your needs. They need to come back to me. They need to come ask me, and I need to give permission for them to be able to help you. You never realized this, so you didn't come to me first, so go to them and see if they can help you independently from me. Can anyone do that? Can anyone help? Salim, can they help independently from Allah? Can the awliya assist independently from Allah? Can the anbiya assist independently from Allah? Yeah. So when we're not saying that don't go to people. We're not saying don't go to people. But there's a difference between saying, when you ask the person, how are you feeling now? When you ask the person, how are you feeling now? There's a difference. When you ask the person, hoe voelt je nu? The person say, oh, alhamdulillah, now that Bernardo ruggerik. Ruggerik. And the person who says, alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala granted me shifa. Both took the Bernardo. Both went to the doctor. But the one couldn't see beyond the Bernardo with the doctor, and the other one saw that beyond it. This is amazing. Ash-Shafi hu Allah. The person said, oh, my banker sorted me out. And I said, alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala granted me a way out. The one couldn't see beyond the bank, and the other one saw that beyond. You just what that means. Ar-Raziq hu Allah. That person says, I went to go seek for counseling. He can't see beyond, he said, no, he's a good counselor. And the other said, MashaAllah, Allah Ta'ala solved my problem. The one couldn't see beyond the counselor, and the other one says, the one who solves problems is Allah. So that qasr, the qisr fi nazar, that short-sightedness, that short-sighted, the method is the same. The method is the same. The method is the same. The one uses the asbab, the other one uses the asbab. But the one thing, the asbab is the thing that brought the change, and the other one is only using the asbab. Because through the asbab, it's the world of asbab, but behind the asbab is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فالله يربطنا به ولا يحجبنا عنه. Ameen. Allah Ta'ala connect us to Allah and not allow us to be veiled from Allah. Whether it is the veil of His creation, the veil of His asbab, or even the veil of ilm. And the veil of ilm is also a veil. Ilm can be a veil. Instead of connecting you to Allah, it actually veils you from Allah. Yeah. We have we are just about that next one. Are there any questions? Another question? We are going to ask Shaykh Yusuf to share some words of nasiha with us if he has any advices. And he does, he should have advice with us. What the right part?
والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا واغفر لنا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. تب علينا توبة نصوحا وطهرنا بها قلبا وجسما وروحا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ومشايخنا وللمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات ولمن له حق علينا يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. فاتحة إلى حضرة النبي.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وصحبه. الفاتحة.
ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا، رب علمنا الذي ينفعنا، رب فقهنا وفقه أهلنا وقرابات لنا في ديننا مع أهل الخطر وذكر. ربنا ووفقهم لما ترتضي قولا وفعلا كرما، وارزق الكل حلالا دائما، وأخل أتقياء علماء نرضى بالخير ونرضى كل شر. ربنا واصلح لنا كل شؤون، وأمر بالرضا منك العيون، واقض عنا ربنا كل الديون.
قبل أن تهلك
واغفر المنون واغفر السر أذكر من ستر وصلاة الله تغشى المصطفى من إلى الحق دعانا والوفاء والكتاب فيه للناس شفاء وعلى الآل الكرام الشرفاء وعلى صحب المصابيح الغرى. اللهم اهدنا بهداك واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك ولا تولنا وليا سواك ولا تجعلنا ممن خالف أمرك وعصاك.
ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. يا ربنا اعترفنا بأننا اقترفنا وأننا أسرفنا على لظى أشرفنا فتب علينا توبة تغسل كل حوبة واستر لنا العورات وآمن الروعات واغفر لوالدينا ربي ومولودينا والأهل والإخوان وسائر الحلان وكل ذي محبة أو جيرة أو صحبة والمسلمين أجمع. آمين ربي اسمع فضلا وجودا منا لا باكتساب منا بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول. صلى وسلم ربي عليه عد الحب والآل وصحبي عداد طش صحبي والحمد لله في البدء والثناء. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. في كل لحظة أبدا عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه. الفاتحة. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.